thing?
I can extend it, or I can duplicate. Should I extend it?
You try. It's not lit up. See how the light's not on?
Yeah, it's on, green's on.
Is it?
Yeah. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see it.
All righty.
Just went off. Now come back on. You got green light up here.
Oh, I just unplugged it to see if it works again.
And we'll continue to work through the technical difficulties. So let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holy Heavenly Father, as we gather here today, Lord, we ask that you provide us with your wisdom, Lord, in any decisions that we make for the city. Heavenly Father, watch over our citizens, Lord. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. All right, welcome everybody. Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Aaron Rowe.
Here.
John Manus.
Here.
James Davis.
Here.
John here. Marcia Parker.
I'm here for both of you.
Ken Colley.
Here.
Bill Young.
Here.
Ron Cherum.
Here. All right, we got a quorum. If
It's
everybody's
so
been
sorry.
able to look over the minutes of the October 14th meeting, we'd like a motion to approve those minutes as written.
Make that motion.
It's like-
Approve it as printed.
Yes.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same. All right, that motion passes. Does anybody from the public like to talk about any of the agenda items this evening? All right, we're gonna move right along. Unfinished business, discussion of the Barling Water System Master Plan. Steve, you wanna tell us a little bit about that and introduce our guests here?
Our guests are from Mickle Griffin Engineers, and we have Josh, Nick here. We have Daniel Mann sitting in from the Fort Chaffee Redevelopment Authority. This has been a joint project for us in town. It's a part of the required health department master planning as well. It's also for the trust, and it has several things that tie to the trust. And one of them is the drawings that I have up here. There is a set of projected or proposed improvements. There's another drawing that is under here that is the existing infrastructure. And there's another one that the Chaffee Trust has brought forth, and it has projected land uses in future. And this is things that are in accordance with the Chaffee plan. It'll tell us what we need, and it's comparatively, and this is the land uses that are left. And in the city of Barling, the parts that are left, there are some that are in the original west areas, west of Highway 59. The other is the FCRA areas that are gained that are east of 59, and then the area, the industrial area that is south of Highway 22 in the old cantonment area. And with that, gentlemen, you're on.
Thanks, Steve. So master planning is probably one of the most challenging and rewarding things that we do. Back when I was a young engineer, I worked with Pat Mickle on doing water system master planning for City of Fort Smith, for southern growth area of Fort Smith, for Chaffee Crossing. So, back in the day, Pat would say, this is when you've got to really put your thinking cap on. So this is the good stuff for us. This is what we like to do. Gets us outside the box and thinking big, long term. But one of the important takeaways that I think for us is how we went about modeling this system. A lot of master plans will just take population projections and then spread them across the entire city and use that as a basis for doing the master planning. That's not what we did. we took undeveloped property in Barling, all through Barling, both in Chaffee Crossing and outside of Chaffee Crossing, and assigned future land uses and thereby future water demands in those areas. And so we took that information to develop this master plan. So I think what we've produced for you is a really useful tool that's a lot more accurate than just blanket applying future growth across the system. So I'm really proud of what we've produced here, and I think it's a great tool for both Barling and the FCRA to use for capital improvement planning, for future funding opportunities such as grants and low-interest loans through different agencies. Like I said, when I was a young engineer, I was in the weeds doing the actual master planning, but Jacob here is the one that really did all the work on this, and I'm just here to take credit for it. But Jacob is going to go through it in a little bit more detail so you can kind of understand what we did, how we went about it. But again, like I said, big picture here is that we took a comprehensive look at the entire city of Barling, not just throwing future population projections at it. So take it away.
So up on the screen, we have depicted one of the exhibits Steve was talking about. We essentially took what is currently in Barling's GIS database for the existing water distribution system, and this is what we based our existing condition scenario for our model on. So as you'll see, we got a basic pipe inventory that we conducted based on the GIS data. Here we found pipe diameters ranging from 2-inch to 12-inch in diameter, and they're color coded as you see up in the top right in the legend. And materials we found within the distribution system, according to GIS, varied from PVC, mostly PVC, to some asbestos cement and some ductile iron. Just some important landmarks we called out here in this exhibit. In the northwestern corner of the city, we identify the existing Mayo Drive pump station. And then a little bit to the east, we identify the existing 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank. So just to kind of briefly go over our existing conditions for the water distribution system, off to the left we have some tables where we summarized some important details about the existing water storage tank, and then the existing pump station on Mayo Drive, and just the pumps that are that reside within that pump station. And then at the bottom left, as I mentioned, we conducted a pipe inventory based on existing GIS data, and we've summarized that in those tables there. As for average and maximum daily demands, for average daily demands, we met with the city, or we met with Steve at the beginning of this project and got some basic data. We got monthly master meter data ranging back from the beginning of 2023 to the end of 2024, and that's what we used to calculate. We kind of extrapolated those numbers out and calculated a roundabout average daily demand based on those average monthly readings. And our average daily demand we identify for today based on those previous readings is about 577,000 gallons per day. As for maximum daily demand, we got a couple different numbers. During our initial kickoff for this project too with the city, we were provided a maximum daily demand to average daily demand ratio of about 1.24 based on what y'all are seeing currently. And we compared that with the previous Arkansas Department of Health report that stated a similar but slightly lower maximum daily demand to average daily demand ratio, I believe from approximately 2021. So to be conservative, we used that higher ratio that the city supplied us at the beginning of the project, and that using that ratio with our calculated average daily demand yielded a maximum daily demand of approximately 716,000 gallons per day. As for the hydraulic analysis, just to summarize, so there's a bunch of different water modeling softwares that engineering firms use to analyze water distribution networks around the country and the world. We used InfoWater Pro. It's just a GIS-based and ArcGIS integrated software, and that's what we use to analyze Barling's distribution system with. Just to go over what we have in our water model, we modeled 6 different scenarios. Essentially, we took 3 different timestamps and modeled an average daily demand scenario and a maximum daily demand scenario at each timestamp. So we have 2 of those scenarios at the 2025 or existing condition state. We have a 2035 or partial future build out with average daily demand and maximum daily demand scenarios. And then we have a full future build out identified at 2045, and that's where all of our future expansion areas that, as Nick discussed, are identified and projected out into that model. But as you'll see later on, we identified those future expansion areas within the city of Barling to help project future demand. It is unknown when some of these areas will fully develop. We took our best stab at it based on known information and engineering assumption to identify some areas that would be completed and fully developed by 2035. And that helped us in determine approximate timelines for proposed infrastructure recommendations for 2035 and 2045, as you'll see later on. Just to briefly go over some of the analyses we conducted within InfoWater and the water model. We looked at steady state modeling, which kind of helped us identify static pressures around the system. We looked at extended period simulations, which gave us a glimpse at the whole system, pressure changes, pipe velocity changes, head loss changes, tank level changes throughout the system throughout a 168-hour simulation period, which is about a week. And then we conducted fire flow analyses, which helped us identify residual pressures and system responses to applying a fire flow at a given junction or node within the model. And then we conducted water age analyses that helped us analyze maximum water age within the tank nodes within the model.
And just to reiterate, the reason we did the partial future build out and the full build out was to help inform us when the tank may be needed, when some of these other water system upgrades, pipe size upgrades and pumping upgrades will be needed. But again, like Jacob said, and we'll go over it a little bit more in detail too, is that that's just an assumption. So if the development happens sooner, then that timeline slides forward. If it happens later, the timeline slides back. But it's important to know that, again, with the water age modeling, is that if you build the tank too soon, then you'll have water age problems and you'll have to dump water. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to try to get this intermediate scenario to try to help pinpoint when that tank is needed.
So here we kind of detail how we came about with our future water demand projections, and to speak more in detail to what Nick described is how we picked specific areas within the city of Barling to target future water demand for and project to. So these demand projections were based on the variables you see above, based on land use, property acreage, dwelling unit densities if they're available for residential areas, and then we also have an assumed land development area percentage of about 85% of the total property acreage. So for any given commercial or industrial development or expansion area that we identified, we applied an 85% assumed land development percentage just to more accurately project the water demand to that area, because no property is going to be fully 100% developed to where water demand is going to match that acreage estimation, if that makes sense. As for residential demand, we assumed average daily demand per dwelling unit at about 0.17 gallons per minute. To get our maximum daily demand assumptions per dwelling unit, we applied a 2.5 maximum daily demand to average daily demand ratio. Just to account for future higher density residential developments and also to account for any worst case maximum daily demand scenarios. I think Nick will probably touch on it later, but we see, as you'll see in the exhibit we'll show in a few slides, or in the next slide, I think it's the next slide. We see the future expansion areas being more commercial, more industrial, and within the residential areas, they're a little bit more higher density. So that's why you see a higher maximum daily demand to average daily demand ratio than what you're currently seeing today. And then as for commercial and industrial future demand, we based our assumptions on the City of Fort Smith master plan for water and sewer service, in the southern growth area and Chaffee Crossing. Mickle Wagner Coleman actually did that report back in the day. Andy Brown did that report. And they assumed, they got their readings from hard meter data that they went out and collected, and we think the commercial and industrial areas within the southern growth area of Fort Smith and Chaffee Crossing will kind of align demand-wise with what we'll see in Barling within the next 20 or some odd years. So based on that assumption, our average daily demand assumption for commercial and industrial areas is about 750 gallons per day per acre, and then likewise for maximum daily demand is about 1,875 gallons per day per acre. And then all in all, based on these assumptions, we're projecting an approximate doubling from the existing average daily demand today to full future average daily demand. And then we're estimating an approximate tripling from existing maximum daily demand to full future maximum daily demand. And that's just, like I said before, we're just gonna see, I think we're gonna see more commercial industrial growth within Barling and higher density residential developments within these future expansion areas. And that's why you're gonna see that maximum daily demand triple and average daily demand only double. It's gonna lean heavier on that maximum daily demand side just because of that ratio that we're applying. So here, Steve touched on this a little bit, but this is the exhibit we drew up identifying the future expansion areas within Barling that we projected water demand for. As you'll see, we color-coded them based on land use. So these red areas we identify or assume is commercial development. The blue we identify as industrial. The yellow areas we identify as residential. And then green is green space and orange is mixed use. And just to briefly go over the areas we assumed for completion by 2035, like Nick described, for that intermediate modeling scenario, I believe most of these residential areas within the I-49 adjacent expansion area we assume to be fully developed. The Magnolias at the ranch development over here off to the west end of town. Ashton Acres, a little bit to the east of that. And then the Canyon Ridge development up here. And then lastly, the Ake properties as well, we assumed. So moving forward into how we came about with our proposed improvements for the infrastructure, we set forth minimum criteria within the model just to, as go-bys, to help us analyze the system at each time-stamped scenario, at the average daily demand scenario and the maximum daily demand scenario. So with these criteria, we were able to upsize pipes or extend pipes or place the new tank where we thought it needed to go to satisfy all this criteria within, for the whole distribution system within the model at each scenario. And then to preliminary recommendations, just to briefly go over what we're recommending for future. We're recommending a proposed elevated water storage tank, pump station upgrades to the existing pump station, various water line extensions and upsizes, and then miscellaneous capital improvement projects that'll indirectly benefit the water distribution system. Our third exhibit that Steve touched on is our summary of proposed recommendations. Just to briefly go over what you're looking at. It's kind of hard to tell on the screen, but we've outlined in orange all the existing asbestos cement pipe that we identified within existing GIS data. And we're recommending the eventual phasing out and replacement of those AC pipes with PVC pipe as they reach their design life. And as we've discussed with Steve already, y'all are well on your way to doing that already. And then all the color-coded lines you see are various pipe extensions and pipe upsizes that we're recommending. And then it's kind of hard to see, but with the proposed elevated water storage tank, we're proposing 2 location options. If you see this red lines here leading to the circles, that circle is the possible location of the new tank. And I'll come back and touch on that once we talk about the new tank, but they're kind of near the south central town. So to go over the proposed elevated storage tank, we're recommending a 600,000 gallon elevated storage tank to be constructed within the next 10 years, just based on our future demand projections. To bridge that gap until the new tank is constructed, but future demand is going to increase at the same time, we're proposing that Barling utilize an additional pump within the Mayo Drive pump station, just to provide necessary flow to the existing tank and to the system. And then in addition to that, we're proposing just increasing the existing tank's operating range. Currently, it operates at about a 10-foot high flow level, or high and low level trade-off. And we're proposing that increase slightly to help with water age issues and to help with distribution to the system as future demand increases. That also help reduce pumper operating time as well. Since you'll be using both pumps, it'll help reduce both operating times and give them a break as well. And then it's important to note that, like Nick mentioned, development timelines for these future expansion areas is very pertinent and very directly related to when the new tank's going to be built. So development timelines are going to drive when that tank's going to be needed. If assumed development happens quicker than anticipated, then the new tank's going to be needed sooner, and then vice versa. So that has to be noted, and we're recommending close monitorization of demand as time goes on and as future expansion happens. We just recommend that we probably continue to look at this every so often to make sure we're on track, and if we're not, we need to reassess and reanalyze when that tank's going to be needed. And then just to jump back to the proposed locations for the new water storage tank, option A, which is preferable, is situated at the west end of A Street, on current City of Barling property adjacent to a city park, and it sits about at an elevation of approximately 490 feet, ground elevation. And it's preferable because it would allow for shorter structural columns for the new storage tank. For the supports, it's located closer to the Mayo Drive pump station, so tank refill efficiency is going to be increased there. And then the property it would sit on is already owned by the City of Barling. And then our second option is situated at the northeast corner of Highway 59 and Church Street at an approximate ground elevation about 475 foot to 480 foot. And just to reiterate, option A is preferable just because it's higher in elevation and the property is already owned by the city. You have anything to add on that? Okay. So just to briefly go over our proposed pump station upgrades. Currently, the city only utilizes one of 3 pumps within the pump station whenever the existing tank needs to be refilled. And when that pump does kick on, the existing tank refills and it distributes flow to the system. Just in our partial build out at 2035 and our full build out at 2045 in both average day and maximum day scenario, we're recommending an additional pump be used just to supply flow to both the existing tank and to the existing tank and the proposed tank at whichever scenario it may be applicable to. But within what we were seeing in our model at the full build out in 2045 under maximum day, emergency conditions, we're seeing that's more supply flow even than what 2 pumps will provide could be needed. And I think that's when we need to start introducing possible preliminary discussions with the city of Fort Smith into their 48-inch water transmission line in that area. And preliminary discussions with them could help gauge possibilities for an emergency tap into that water transmission line to help refill that proposed tank in the future if need be. Up here, we've kind of summarized our water line extension or proposed water line extensions and upsizes. Off to the left, we've identified our extensions. The big ones are going to be in that eastern I-49 adjacent expansion area to help fuel development in that area. Whether I think one along Church Street and Park, we recommend by 2035 or prior to further development within that area. And then there's another one we recommend that would connect the water line along 8th Street and then the proposed one on Church Street along Browns Lake Road or somewhere in that area, just to help create a looped water distribution system. It helps create redundancy, easier taps for developers to touch on whenever development happens within that area, and multi-flow or multi-directional flow also helps within a looped system as well. And then off to the right, we have a table summarizing our pipe up sizes and the linear footage of when we're recommending those upsizes to occur by, and that all these upsizes and extensions, as I mentioned previously, just help satisfy the minimum criteria we set forth within our model. And whenever in our model, we upsized or inserted those extensions by to satisfy those criteria, we're saying that we're recommending that be installed by in the physical system. So that 2035 versus 2045 shows the linear footage of upsizes we added in that 2035 modeling scenario, and then the same goes for the 2045 box as well. And we summarize the timelines into a little bit more detail in that table too, to the left. And then lastly, just some proposed miscellaneous capital improvement projects. Like I mentioned before, with all the AC water line in the system, it's reaching design life, and we're just recommending the eventual phase out and replacement with PVC water line. And then just other miscellaneous stuff. I believe the Mayo Drive pump station doesn't have any emergency power, so we're just recommending a gas-powered emergency generator at that pump station, just in times of power outage. And if that pump ever needs to kick on, then you'll have emergency power to do that. And then other little ones, I believe there's some instrumentation at the existing water tank that doesn't operate under extreme temperature conditions within its enclosure. So we're just recommending an insulated enclosure for those gauges, just to help the water operators be able to pick up data in those extreme temperatures, whether it be in the winter or not. And then lastly, we're just recommending the consideration of a mixing system within the existing water storage tank. There could be some stagnant water in there with the current operating range it has right now. And we recommend a preliminary fluid analysis and then possibly an installation of that mixing system as well. So we'll open this up to Q&A. Nick, do you have any summaries or?
I'd just like to close out by saying we appreciate this opportunity. This is a fun project for us, and I think we delivered a useful tool for you guys and the FCRA. One thing that Jacob touched on that I didn't at the first of the meeting was the future connection to the 48-inch water transmission line. I think that's an important conversation to have with the city of Fort Smith, because a couple things. If our assumptions for some reason are wrong and the demands are a lot more than we think, then that gives you another way to fill your system, fill both tanks. The pressures and the hydraulic grade line from the 48 will be able to fill both tanks. We'll have plenty of water, obviously. But it also it gives you an emergency connection in case something happens to the Mayo Drive pump station in some future demand when you've got, or future scenario when you have a lot of demand. So it gives you a belt and suspenders approach to supplying your town. So again, appreciate the opportunity, and let us know if you have any questions.
All right, any questions? Question on how long will it take us to engineer for the water tower, and how long would construction normally take? So to give us a heads up how far ahead we need to plan.
Yeah, I would say probably at least a year before you need it. It'll probably take several months to get it designed and approved to the health department, and then 6 to 8 months probably to build. So
About 2 years?
yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things, and Daniel Mann is here from the trust, we've had multiple conversations about utilization. I will tell you, it's no secret now, but there are 2 more pieces of property east of the park that are going to be sold, if not sold, before the end of the year. And they will not be single-family housing. They will be either duplexes, townhouses, and possibly some apartments. And these are consumption items that go up. What Josh and Nick also referred to in these tables in here, you're looking at some line sizes, and Matt and I went over some of the stuff, and we've looked at this. A part of these recommendations that they made, we've already got done, and that was what he was alluding to, that we've been working on it. One was the 12-inch line from the pump station all the way around to H Street, and we've upgraded the H Street line we know right now that there are two items that are in existing that we will work on. And one of them is 22nd Street. We talked about methods to do that. Leave the existing line in place, put a new line in across the front of the yards, and then abandon that existing line. It is in the ditch bottom, sitting on bedrock, and it's been there since 1968, so we know that this one is particularly ticklish. There's another one that is the one that is on Strozier Lane, and it is a line that ties in with the existing east-west 10-inch line, and that one will have to be done, and that's about 4,000 feet. Then, if you haven't looked at the drawings, you'll look in there, and there are some highway crossings, and there are basically 3 that have to be done, and those are bores in solid rock, and it's not gonna be free. You have to have a big enough pit to get a drilling rig in there. But the other, and Hickey, and everybody needs to know about it, the water tower site A is in the ground that is the city park.
So it's on the city park?
It's on the city
Okay.
park. Now, we don't know, but we'll have to ask, and I made this comment at the FCRA meeting when this was briefed out there. Once you take that federal grant, it encumbers. And that grant for that original park, I don't know what was in the grant, we'll have to try to find it out, but if it is, you'll have to make a payment back for the land that you've taken that the tower occupies. If they consider that tower is incidental and it's incidental to the whole community, then it's Mox Nix, it won't matter. You can go out there and construct it. There's a great deal of plus, as Nick said, and he and Josh were talking about the difference in elevation. And you go to buy one, and you're paying for the design. The other thing is emphasized in here, and we've talked about all along, is having that water tower elevation for both towers the same, and then you don't have to worry with switches and adjustments, transfers, and gauging. It's a uniplane system, and that's what counts at most of it. And that's the least cost and most effective water system that you can have.
I think
Yeah.
my question would be, if we were to choose option B, would it be more feasible if we got permission from Fort Smith to get that tap flowing back into the system on option B instead of A, or would it be about the same?
I think it would be about the same. It's not a lot of difference. They're not that much farther apart, so I don't think that would factor into the decision-making, really. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to touch on what Steve had said about the development along 8th Street in some of the residential areas. We didn't just assume single-family. We broke it down into multifamily, higher density for duplexes. So we made some assumptions to account for that it's not just single-family development. So again, those assumptions are assumptions. They could change. Obviously, we're taking a guess at what we know now. So that's why we mentioned that this needs to be kind of revisited as time goes.
So I have a question concerning the height of the water tower, proposed water tower. How much higher are we gonna have to build it to meet the level of the one that we already have?
Well, the location location A, which is back behind the old, or at the park, back behind the old City Hall, that one is at elevation 490, so it's just 10 feet taller than the existing tank. And the option B location is between 475 and 480, so it's 20 to 25 feet taller than the existing tank.
The bulbs are the same size, relatively speaking. It's the structural leg that holds it up. The difference in the bulb we've got up there is 500,000. They're talking about 600,000 for the second tank. Structure cost is vertical.
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, I just want to thank the board again for agreeing to partner with FCRA on this project. We're very happy with the data that we've retained from Mickle Griffin. We started kind of strategic planning that 223 acres north of Church Street to 8th Street, 59 to 49 early last year. And it started based on the Rod Coleman ERC project that's under construction now. And it's led to the discussion that we've had in front of this board with the Collector Road and the sewer extension, and as what was mentioned earlier, the water line loop system. And so this information it gives us a good snapshot of where we're at today. It also allows us the ability to adapt this plan, and so I like it being preliminary because everything is based on development timeline and usage. And as they've touched on a few of the development projects that we currently have under contract and what's in initial development phases, there could very easily be 1,000 units on 3 parcels of property within Chaffee Crossing in the next 3 to 4 years. Again, just based on the projects that I'm working on preliminary and identifying future land uses based on interest from outside developers, the city of Barling could double in population in the next 10 years. I believe that is a true statement. Once that interstate's connected, I believe folks will want to live in Fort Smith and in Barling and commute to Northwest Arkansas just based on cost alone. You see that in other high-growth markets that are growing 30% year over year. And so this is a great project. It allows the city to plan. It allows Fort Chaffee Redevelopment Authority to plan. And I, again, thank you guys for your support in this project. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions for Daniel? But, yeah, we want to thank the FCRA for helping out with this study. It really enlightens us and shows us where we're headed here in the next 10 to 20 years, growth-wise, and help us factor in all the needs that we're going to need for water here in the coming future. All right, any more questions for Mickle Griffin from anybody? If not, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All righty, moving right along. Discussion of board director meeting dates for December 2025. What dates do we have that we need to move?
Calendar, we had talked about how things fall. Traditionally, the government has done that. We do the 24th and 25th. This year, the 26th is on a Friday. It's not noted for being especially productive because everybody's out doing the shopping and closing. The question I had was about whether or not we wanted to use that as one of the days traditionally off. You have it, Bruce Farrar's famous statement. The other days that we'll have is we need to plan how we're going to do Thanksgiving, because November 11th is Veterans Day, and so we looked at having, what was it, the 12th and the we talked about whether or not you wanted to have it.
It's on the 11th, but we have to move it to the 12th because it's a holiday.
We talked about the 12th and then the 25th, how many people have plans of Thanksgiving week. It involves that whole week as opposed to moving it, depending on moving it up a week, having 12th and then having one immediately following that next week, which would be the 18th. And what your Thanksgiving plans are, it'll give us time to schedule, and it'll what makes work schedules over as well, because the governor traditionally discovers that we get off Thanksgiving Thursday, Friday following, to enrich all the merchants that go out and shop.
So in November, would you guys like to,
Guys and gals.
sorry, would you like a couple options? We could have a meeting next week on the 4th and then have one on the 18th. Or we could do the 12th and then the 18th, a Wednesday and then a Tuesday. Or we could keep them all on Tuesdays by doing the 4th and the 18th in November.
I suggest not the fourth.
Not the 4th?
Budget-wise, I'm not gonna have anything ready and prepared by one more week, so we at least wait till the 12th for that meeting, if we can.
12th and the 18th.
12th and 18th? 11th is Veterans Day,
Okay,
Be it all.
so the 12th and the 18th. Right. Do we need to do separate, or,
Look at December.
and now December, we can do y'all want to do the 9th and 16th? So it'd just be week 2 and week 3.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we move our meetings on November to the 12th and 18th. And in December, we do the 9th and the 16th.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Got a second? Roll call vote, please.
Aaron Rowe, John Manus, James Davis.
Yes.
Marcia Parker.
Yes.
Ken Collie.
Yes.
Bill Young, Ron Cheryl.
Yes.
All righty. That was easy. Moving right along, discussion of the 2026 operational budget. Megan, you're up to bat.
Okay, I will start off by saying this is a very, very rough draft. I'm still waiting on lots of numbers. I haven't received property insurance rates yet, vehicle insurance rates, workers' comp. Normally I have them by now, but the municipal league likes me to not start calling and bugging them till November 1st. So if they haven't yet, I'll call them on November 1st. And I don't have turnback rates yet either. Everybody's really behind. I just got health insurance rates this week. Like, everybody is very behind on things, so it's made our budget difficult. But I have a rough draft on an operational budget for the main three: general fund, street fund, and water fund. And next month by the next meeting, I'll have a better idea about the property taxes, because we should receive our big check in November, so I should know where we're at on that as well. I don't want to bore you and go line by line. If you all want to just take a minute and look at it and see if you have anything stands out and you have any big questions.
I think, is the Taco Bell gonna be in the city limits of Barling? The new one?
Yes.
I think our sales tax there ought to pick up.
Yes, as long as that project is finalized. We've received, they stopped mid-project, and then now they're talking about picking back up again. They
Years about
changed
the design.
construction companies and everything, so.
They've been on hold for a little bit, haven't they?
Yeah, we were told,
Yeah.
and they just completely went ghost on us, but then we've been in contact, and hopefully it's gonna pick back up, so. And I went really conservatively on most of these, like sales tax. It's better to be pleasantly surprised throughout the year, because this year's been a weird year for revenue. Same thing with building permits. I think they're actually gonna go up higher than what I put in there, but
Matt, what do we normally charge for a building permit for like, ERC's gonna go out there? Do we have an idea of what, or house we charge?
Kim handles most of those. Just like,
Depending on the square footage, it probably
Yeah, with the new rates, it's anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 a home. Yeah.
Well, half of that or whatever's the water meter and
Oh, no, that's separate. That's just the building permit portion, the 3,000. So the water meter, we don't. It's 2,000, but we don't make anything off of that. We just charge, yeah, just sell it at cost.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
I'm looking at line item 5070, matching retirement. It looks like our matching part of it was 3254 and 24, and it pretty much doubled in 25. What do we attribute that to?
We had more employees start contributing, so fire and police
Twice
have,
as many?
well, there's only 4 of us, so it doesn't take much to, that's just the admin portion, so that's just, when Brooklyn came in, she started contributing, and then some up to their rates in what they contributed. But we don't, for us, it's voluntary, unlike police and fire, so they didn't contribute before, and they started contributing now, so the city matches
How much
it.
do we match on the,
We only match 3% for everybody else,
Outstanding.
and 25 for fire and police. There's several that you'll probably notice or figure you'll ask about. Oh, health insurance rates raised as well. So, like everything else, they went up quite a bit this year. We were able to move some things around, and I don't think anyone's budget is taking a big hit on that. I think fire is my department that has the most with family coverage, but
Events expense, is that just for like, the fireworks and that stuff, or does that include the payment to like the other officers from the county or anything like that?
that includes, no, not, that's under
Okay.
contract labor.
Okay.
That includes the fireworks themselves, the egg hunt,
Okay.
cruise nights,
Uh,
Christmas parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those events.
I knew the fireworks were gonna go up, and I knew the eggs were gonna go up. Yeah, chickens were on strike this past year, so.
This probably, Megan talked about the taxes. Right now, we look like we're probably gonna have around $480,000 in city sales tax gross at the end of the year. And revenue and county tax looks like it's gonna be probably about $1,300,000 or $1,400,000 in county sales tax. And if you followed on the computer, the Talk Business and Politics, Fort Smith and the county are both, they've had several dips in their sales tax, and I think the percentage difference is about 1.4 to 1.3% below last year. You don't think about that until you realize how much money goes through the sales tax. You know, that's still a pile of money.
Yeah. I have the cover sheet that I did for the 3 funds, so you can kind of see receipts over expenditures where we are. If you all don't have more questions about general fund, in water fund, that's probably gonna change. I'm probably going to move Joe's salary to general fund this year, cause he is doing mainly general building and code and things now. So that'll help water fund out a little bit. And then also the water purchase expense amount that we spend, when the rates went up, we budgeted higher than it should be. I can probably reduce that expenditure by probably 150,000, what we're actually spending, so.
Megan, on the salary projection, does that account for any new employees?
No,
Hired.
this is no new employees, this is no COLAs, this is just the rates as they are now. So I wanted you all to get a general idea of where I was kind of rough draft at right now. And then the next one, I'll have some corrections, because while he was talking back there, I was, catching some things. I mean, when I had rates still coming in last night to try to add in there, so I haven't had much time for it. But the next meeting we'll have a better idea, and then I will present to you all, if you even think COLA is something we're gonna discuss this year, and then if you all think we're gonna go into special wants, and ideally, we know we're gonna need people in the future. So I would, obviously, the more we cannot spend on stuff, the better. The revenue just isn't there this year to add an employee, I don't think.
You think the majority of it is because of the first 3 months and not having that tax?
No, not
No?
just that. The sales tax has been very wishy-washy. It's not made any sense, and it's actually been more stable for us than it has for Greenwood and Fort Smith. But Steve and I have been following it like crazy, and no one can explain it. We've been on the phone with the state of Arkansas. They can't explain it. It's just unsteady right now. It's uncomfortable to think of adding a new employee yet.
I have a question concerning that.
Yeah.
We just purchased the ladder truck. How are we going to staff that?
When we get it here.
We've been meaning to tell you,
Stop it.
training you.
Well, the plan is to get the ladder truck paid back to get the general fund paid back. And then once that money is paid back up, and we'll have to discuss new employees. We're gonna have to discuss new employees. Probably not, I would
Sooner
say
than later.
this year, but I mean, for police and fire, it's coming up. I mean, if we can save as much as we can this year, but then again, I know Steve wants to look at a fire station because he wants to have somewhere for them to sleep, before hiring employees.
The thing about it is it takes about 68 to 72,000, maybe more, depending on what the employee does, to have each employee. And the taxes that we slack in the taxes is not going to cover one employee. In other words, even if we'd had it, we couldn't have enough. You have to have enough, you don't wanna hire somebody and then they're out the door. You want to be able
Well,
to.
on the flip side of that, you don't wanna be caught with your,
I understand, but you gotta have them trained too before you get in there. You can't use the truck until they're trained. Unless we can hire somebody and poach somebody, somebody that, pre-service that's really good with ladders, and we can teach them how to haul a hose.
I just think we should have a plan in place to figure this out before we come up with, oh, we don't have enough people and we don't have any money.
I've been looking for a roof over the fire truck's head.
I mean, we're pretty set as far as, we're not ever gonna be in a position where we can't afford to fund what we have. But that's why I'm like, every extra expenditure that we cannot spend, we are preparing for the future by we're in a lull. I remember back in 2015, we had this big jump in population, and the revenues just were not there yet. Property taxes take almost 3 years before you receive, but you have all that building. And in the meantime, I have my officers, my firemen saying, these people already live here. We have all these more calls, but we haven't received the revenue for them yet, and I've been telling Steve like crazy, we are in that period right now of 2 to 3 years where they're growing faster than we're receiving revenues and expanding. Ultimately, it's up to you all, but we would go in the deficit and have to use our savings for a new employee, most likely. I mean, if we I'll have a better idea at the next meeting.
Well, right now, we're dependent on Fort Smith for a ladder truck, right? I mean, we don't have one. We don't have the staff to.
Well, yeah,
So we're dependent on them.
yeah.
And we got all these big businesses and these three-story apartments that have been put in out here. We knew what was coming down, and we still hadn't got the money for employees. I mean, we're gonna have to, like Bill said, we're gonna have to come up with a plan.
Yeah,
Soon.
I agree.
Well, the deal, you know, when we
Well, I
find
mean,
out what the
we've known
tax-
what's been coming down the pipe.
Yeah, when we know, but, you know, we just finally, it took Tommy, how long to find a truck?
Yeah, but now we ain't got the people to run it.
Well, you gotta get people trained to do it.
Okay.
The thing that I worry about mainly is when you do it, you wanna be sure, not plunge off in a rat hole. I don't wanna see, you know, X $million of debt. We're looking,
But
we've got ourselves in good shape.
we're obligated to provide these businesses with that
understand
protection.
that.
I mean,
That's
you
why
know,
you
so
have
we need to
respect.
step up and do our part.
John, that's why you have reciprocal agreements too.
If you'll get liquor sales passed, then open a liquor store, that will really help us out. If you'll do that for me,
Yeah.
then that will really help us
Well-
out. No, I agree. I mean, we do have to do something. I don't think we bought the ladder and truck with intentions of throwing people on it immediately. We knew we'd have to, number one, the capital fund or that fire fee is gonna have to pay it back. It won't be paid for next year, all of next year probably before it's finally paid for. And then, well, no, 2 years before it's finally paid for. And that's where it is, guys. I'm all for, you don't wanna have another study session. You wanna discuss future growth, let's do it. Let's discuss what we can cut and what we can add and what we can do. We're racking our brains 24/7. Tommy and I have been having talks for a long time about those big businesses, about some kind of fee or something, because the ladder truck is needed for them and only them. Maybe there's gotta be something we can figure out there. Why are we having to buy a truck for these couple very large
Part of
businesses?
that's our fault because we approved a three-story building without
protection.
without being able to protect it.
That's right.
This is kind of on us at the end of the day.
But it's 35 feet's the rule there, Tom.
For
anything
3 stories.
I think it was 35 feet.
So if you have 5 3-story buildings or greater, then we're required to provide a ladder truck. Yeah, the apartment buildings. Yeah, apartment buildings are up here at the end of town.
Five just in it.
Apartment buildings, 3 dorm buildings, and now a 40-foot tall warehouse.
That's it.
So Yeah, we're there. We're past there.
The key here is, when will the truck be delivered?
Truck will be here probably around February.
Gives us time to start looking, and then we may know what the funds will support. So we want taxes, the general fund supports it, it's not freebies. If we had the county all wet, like my proposal was,
But that isn't, hey,
hey, John, what I asked about, and I talked to the county judge about it, going in and having a statewide where the state's wet and take the taxes from their alcohol sales and provide the fire departments.
but that didn't happen.
Well, we don't know, they got another election coming.
Yeah. But we're gonna have a truck.
When's it coming?
Yeah, but we're gonna have a truck, we're gonna be sitting here with a truck and nothing else, paying on something that we're not gonna be able to use.
Well, we'll be able to read it.
All right.
Tommy's got a place to,
We may have a place to park it, but we ain't got a place to use it.
we gotta have people to do it.
If the county was to pass like an alcohol sales tax, when you're doing the petition and all that, can you dictate where it's supposed to go, like to police and fire?
Yes, general fund money. That's why.
So that would, if we could get the county to go wet, then we'd be able to say, we just want that tax go straight to police and fire, and then it divvies it up between the cities, right?
That's
You better get Fort Smith to go along with it, cause they ain't gonna go along
Well,
with it. Hey, you know, that's
They
what's
had
been the
nothing
blocker
to
the
do
whole
with
time.
it.
Yeah, they can't
Well,
even,
the
they
county-
can't vote
well,
in
I
it.
know, but the.
They don't
I'm talking
vote in
about
it.
the county as a whole.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Fort Smith,
They put in
Got the
money to
biggest-
make sure it don't go.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we know
But
about,
this is the
that.
thing, statewide, every volunteer fire department, every fire department needs funds. They're short statewide. You can't get,
Not when they got us, doing all their work for them. They don't need no money.
that's the only way I know and the mechanism that I could see, that everybody has a fire. If they would do that and think about it, you could have that money and it would go in the tax. It's no different, It's a matter of, can you get your legislative member to support the program?
Anybody else have any questions for Megan?
Fine money.
Thank you very much.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Have we got a check from Central yet for the water?
No, we have not. We had another discussion. I told Matt last
Tuesday?
week, but it was last week. I guess they had a meeting and their board told them now the mayor's allowed to handle it again. He's supposed to be handling negotiations. He came and spoke with Steve and I, and he said, we told you what it was, pay what you're owed. Our attorney has already reached out to their attorney, and he said he was going to be calling a special meeting to tell them that they need to pay. So, I told him he should have done it yesterday, but he said he didn't know if he can make it by then, but he will have one called. He talked about this Thursday, he would call a special meeting and tell them where they're at, so that they need to pay. So hopefully by the next board meeting, I have a for sure answer on that.
All righty. Any other questions? No? Megan, thank you very much. All righty, moving right ahead, let's go to department head reports. Joe?
I'll be short and sweet. During the month of September, most of my violations were overgrown properties. Obviously, the couple things that y'all need to know, we are still working on the large property cleanups. They've been issued dates, obviously, they've been to court. Some of them got pushed out, but they're still in that process. The closest one is about 80 to 85% cleaned up. We're gonna continue to work on that. It will go back to court for finalization on all of these. The other thing of note is the trailer, the red trailer down here. The time was up and the owner asked for a short extension. He's got the dumpster down there now. I talked to him earlier today. He said that the guy that was coming had a problem with some equipment, but he said within the week, he said they're probably gonna be able to get down there and get that taken care of. He said he's got that in the works, so that's what I have.
Any questions for Joe? Nope. All right, Matt?
I don't have much. Citywide cleanup went well, still changing meters. And mowing's going about done.
How many dumpsters did we empty?
I didn't get a count, but I'm waiting for the bill.
Okay. I'm sure the bill will come. All right, Tommy, you're up.
Last month, we made, one fire call, 76 medical calls, 9 public service calls. We had an average response time of 2 minutes, 20 seconds. All of the trucks got their annual PMs. All of the 3 pumpers, the pumps got serviced. And then this month, we had all 3 trucks pump tested for the year, and they all passed. No issues.
Any questions for Tommy? No? Chief?
Just, like to thank each of you for approving the repairs of the canine unit. Unexpected, expensive, but Greg's too done a good job. It's back in service. They expedited the repairs. I appreciate that. That's all I have.
All right, I want to tell your officers thank you for coming out to Barling Elementary for their trunk or treat. It was an awesome job that they did. They did the old bikini bottoms, Sandy the squirrel and all that. That was really cool. The kids got a big kick out of that, and I really appreciate you guys doing what you're doing for the community. Any more questions for Chief? No? All right. Mr. Steve, you got some more stuff for us?
Fire department, they were there. The fire department was there as firemen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tommy.
I wasn't gonna say that.
You,
They were there.
they were there, and I was there, and I got to stand at their table because they gave me too big a room for that place I work for. So I was running around in my striped pajamas and all that. So, but yeah, they were there. I think they got called out to move something out of the way. But yes, thank you guys for coming out. They're a hoot to talk to. I'll tell you that. All right, Steve, you're up.
Basically, we're looking at revenue, probably on to see the tip of it. Megan and Brooklyn have been working back and forth, and Kim with all the support data that goes with it, preparing it. And the budgets, we don't talk about really, we don't spend, you all probably don't realize how much we look at every invoice that comes in, and we look at what the expenditures are. And I can tell you that generally speaking, I'm one of the signatures on that check, of every one of them that I look at. And I do pay attention to it because you don't know, you don't want to end up having happening like happened in the mayor council form of government at Mount Ida in Montgomery County. You don't want that, we're not gonna get there. But the other thing is, what they're building out here, if you've not been out there to the park and took a look at what's going on beyond it. The other thing is on the bridge, they started working on the piers on it, and that'll be something happening. One of the things, two pieces of property that are sold, and Daniel Mann did not elaborate on it, but one of them is east of the park. Part of that's not usable for any extent because it's a flood fringe. The other part is south of the east of the construction that's going on down there now for Cantera. And we look for it probably right after the first of the year. This coming Monday, there will be a design review committee meeting out at Chaffee. And it's more projects, and those of us that sit on that committee will try to keep them in line. You asked a question about Taco Bell. Taco Bell design missed an important loop in not going through folks that needed to say yay or nay. Facility's not gonna change, permit won't change, but the look of change will be for its exterior appearances and what goes on with the Chaffee design guides. I'm hoping that's relatively successful. The other thing, everybody has asked about Strozier Lane, and they've asked about Church Street. They've got the southbound lane, Strozier Lane, which is otherwise known as Civilians, it's 253 highway. It's been overlaid, and they're gonna do the northbound lane, or the east side, coming up soon as the monsoon season, so they'll get in there and pay that. They've already milled Church Street over here, and they have also bladed the edges to recover the edges where the vegetation's grown up, and they're gonna be overlaying that too. And they'll probably get, but everybody sees all these blips and stars and stuff on there. They put a leveling course down before they come back with this wearing course. And if you've not been over on the new highway, please be careful out there. There's things that work going on all the time over there when it's not raining. So you need to watch yourself. Here, the sidewalks in town. Go with Matt said, they're down to the Sonic and headed east. I've already seen skateboard crews out there playing lumber peg with the orange barrels and best slalom set you've ever seen. That's the way it goes.
Alrighty. We didn't get this on the agenda, but I asked the last meeting if everybody could come up with 5 things to help better Barling, and if it's okay with you, Ken, we'll pass that off to the next meeting, and I'll get that on the agenda. So if everybody just on the board would come up with like 5 things to make Barling better, whatever it may be, just write them down, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. Announcements, we got, the cruise night, which is November the 8th, a lot of interest in that, Also, I wanna thank Miss Kim. She has reminded me never to bet, for the Hogs. So we have a Texas A&M jersey on this. There's no lipstick that could make that hog look good with that A&M jersey on there, that shirt. But thank you, Miss Kim, for reminding me that Texas A&M is the better university. Giggle. I hate saying that. You know that just gets me every time. Does anybody else have any other announcements or anything? Anybody from the public like to talk about anything? If not, Mr. Ron, would you do the honors?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second. All right, folks, y'all have a great day. Let's make Barling better.